The biggest threat on construction sites is arson and vandalism. This counts for 2/3 of all fires on construction sites and costs in excess of £400 million. That's over £1 million a day of damages and time out. Some of the cost that's not counted for is the actual rebuild time and the loss of the time for the client, because the building gets put back and they have to start again. I've been involved in a few small fires on various construction sites. One was an electrical light fitting that caught fire, that failed, and this was put out with a CO2 extinguisher. We also had a fire on a site where a flat roof was being built, and the construction team that was on site had left site, and there was no marshal on site. We would inspect somebody to stay on site for 2 hours just in case any of the timber smouldering catches fire and needs to be put out. And on this particular case it did, but it was a small roof and it was put out with water extinguishers, and security was notified to monitor this area.
As part of my role as Fire Safety Systems Coordinator for Bowmer Kirkland Site Services, I don't only install the units on site and the fire systems, I also give a toolbox talk to the workers on site once the system's been installed. So this will consist of a 10-minute verbal instruction on how to use the fire system safely, and also a small practical demonstration on how the system works. And we'll make sure before I leave site that everybody is happy on how to use the system competently. So the toolbox talk doesn't only cover the general usage of the system, it also covers how to actually deactivate or activate the system in the case of an emergency. Members of the site will then sign a toolbox talk form to say they've received this training, but there is also support from me after that via email and phone, and also site visits throughout the site's life. Other reasons for fire starting can be poor housekeeping on sites, electrical issues, and general neglect from site workers. We would always promote a fire safe working environment, especially with things like housekeeping, because not only can the neglect of good housekeeping on site cause issues with fire starting, it can also cause problems with being able to access safe exit routes in the case of an emergency or a fire. So it's imperative to us that the sites are kept in good, clean working order. On the advice of our health and safety team, we have been advised to send P50 fire extinguishers to all our timber frame building sites, which is something that we've taken on as a company and is now, is carried out throughout all our construction sites.
Timber frame buildings require a more specific risk assessment. There is a guide, a 16-step guide to timber frame buildings, which can be followed. Part of the 16 steps to fire safety on timber frame buildings is enhanced security via cameras and floodlighting for security during the night patrols, adequate fencing that can't be climbed, and ensuring all the ground floor of the building is secure and locked off at night or at the end of any shift work, then open in the morning, and then a walk round by the site manager to check that there is no intruders on the site and prevent the risk of people getting onto site to vandalise and the arson.
We'd also expect the fire marshal to carry out the services and the tests, the weekly and monthly tests on all fire points on site to make sure that everything is working to a satisfactory standard.
A weekly test can be done using the silence system on the wireless alarms, and the monthly test would do a full evacuation where the actual sounders go off, and we ensure that all contractors can get off site into the musters point in a timely fashion.
The range consists of lots of different units that complement each other on a site to give you full site fire safety protection. We have a base station, a fire call point, a link unit, a heat detector, a smoke detector and an interface. Okay, to perform a silent test, this can be started and ended from any unit within the system by pressing and holding the B button. So if we press and hold B on the base station, that's now giving us an audible alert that a silent test has started, and also a visual alert that the silent test was started from the base station. As we see, this one now will be on a solid green light. That's to tell you that this is in silent test mode and that it is talking to the base station and the rest of the system correctly. With us using Ramtech's WES Plus system, it gives us some freedom and some options on site in the case of an emergency. So our control panels in our site offices can alert you of a fire, and you can then zone the alarms and decide whether you want to evacuate just the zone that the fire has been started in, or all the zones on site and do a full site evacuation. Okay, the system's really easy to use, really easy to link together. It's just a plug and play system. You can link all these units the same together, they'll all talk to each other, they're all compatible. And then in the event of a fire, if one unit is activated, the whole system will go off, will give you the alert that there is a problem on site. In the case of a false alarm, an alarm in zone 1 on site could be alerted. The site team can then speak to zone 1 and find out if it's a genuine fire or if it's a false alarm. In the case of a genuine fire, they can then decide to evacuate the whole site. But if it's a false alarm, they can then disarm the alarm in that area and the site can continue to work. So sometimes sites will start as a small build or maybe a demolition of something before the actual site works begin properly. So the good thing about our fire system is that it evolves as the site evolves. So we can add more units to the system, and that's part of my role, to go to sites, to liaise with the site managers and the contracts managers, and to add units to the system as the site grows until they're happy that they've got full coverage of their fire safety on site.